It was supposed to snow 8 to 12 inches. It was supposed to start at noon. It's 1:20 p.m. and there's nothing out there yet, so who knows? Okay, this case might be a little hard for me to film. I ran across it. I saw a copy of the, Lord, I've just lost my mind, ABC interview that the family gave, and this is actually, I combined that interview with, I still have my pencil, with, some other interviews that I found, so if you watch that interview, this will seem kind of similar, but I added pieces. I'm gonna give you a graphic warning on this case, only because this is about the murder of a 7-year-old, and I will never shirk the details from you. It's not as graphic as some of the other cases that we have come across together, but it is about the death of a 7-year-old. This one tugged my heart, and I actually had to take a break from researching and come back. But I really want to tell you about Kayden, because I think her parents are, like, when I tell you about her, and then you see her pretty little smile, you'll understand why I had to share this case with you. This case happened in 2018, so it is very recent, and I am absolutely heartbroken for Kayden's family, her mom and her stepdad and her auntie, they're all desperately missing her, and this was a fail in our justice system. They failed Kayden, and I want to get those details out there so that they don't fail anyone else. So join me as we talk about Kayden Mancuso. To most of her family, she was a typical 7-year-old. She was about to start 2nd grade at Edgewood Elementary in the Pennsbury School District. She was a vibrant student athlete. She excelled in the classroom with perfect grades in both kindergarten and 1st grade. She was set to play as a 7-year-old in the 10U Pennsbury Gym's softball team and was amazing at gymnastics. Kayden's enthusiastic and sparkling personality was a joy to her family and friends and everyone whose lives she touched. She loved to draw, do her friends' hair, play with makeup, dance, sing, and play with her little brothers and cousins. Like any other 7-year-old, she loved emojis, unicorns, mermaids, the LOL dolls, and American Girl dolls. She was a huge Eagles and Phillies fan, and her family describes her as a true angel. Of course, everyone thinks that their kid is the most amazing person on the planet, but this little girl she was different and special. Kayden's mom, Kathy Sherlock, told ABC News, everyone wanted to be her best friend. Kayden served as the flower girl at the Sherlock's recent wedding, and her 2 younger half-brothers. Kathy and Brian thought their lives couldn't get any better. Everybody just adored her and loved her, and she was just a special, amazing little girl, her stepfather Brian said. But there was someone else in the picture, Kayden's biological father, Jeffrey Mancuso. Kathy Sherlock met him one summer on the Jersey Shore, I speak English really, and found him charming at first. He was funny, charming, and he had a personality. Kathy Sherlock calls their relationship a fling. They never got married, but when Kathy found out she was pregnant, they moved in together. I thought that's what I had to do. Not necessarily be in a relationship with him, but to try and give Kayden 2 parents. It wasn't romantic, said that his hatred for them was greater than his love for his daughter. His sister's name is Allison. So, despite the chill between Kayden's biological parents, the father-daughter bond was very strong. Kayden would always say how she loved him. Allison said, "My brother was 5'6", and she would say things like, 'My daddy is so tall.' She just thought that he was tall and so strong, which I guess to a 7-year-old, 5'6" is pretty tall. 5'6" is kind of short for a guy. Anyway, doesn't matter. According to Allison, Kayden was one of the only bright spots in her brother's life, which she said had been troubled since childhood. Issues made worse by excessive drinking, self-medicating, and violent outbursts. He punched teachers. He got hit in the head with a pool stick at one point. Had 17 staples in his head or something like that, she said. I always said to my mom, something's not right. I felt like he was never the same after that. It's just like the emotions weren't there, even as a kid. I think that between the drinking and the hits in the head that he suffered from some kind of brain damage, which caused him to get progressively mentally ill," Allison continued. "He was okay and tolerable until Kayden." Kathy Sherlock soon discovered that Jeffrey Mancuso had a violent streak and a criminal record that included multiple assault charges across several states. She said that Jeffrey would call her the worst possible names every day, and then the verbal abuse turned physical. "He actually strangled me," she said. "I remember that the only time I've ever felt like I was going to die was in the clutches of his arms, and I just prayed. And I remember being like, I'm gonna stop breathing soon." She said she left Mancuso several times and went and stayed with her parents, but it took a while for her to permanently leave, and no judging here, people. We don't do that on my channel. Having been in a physically abusive relationship myself, it's not just that easy. I know everyone thinks that it is, but it's not. Those kind of people actually convince you that you can't find any better and that you couldn't survive without them. And I know this because it happened to me. I never ever thought I would be that person, and he systematically broke down my person, and it took a while for me to find her again. Anyway, the reason that I didn't physically leave is because, well, who was gonna watch my child at work? His mom was there, and she explained. Jeffrey's mother not only helped keep an eye on Kayden, but also Jeffrey. But 5 years prior, Jeffrey had been charged with an assault. He bit off a man's ear during a bar fight, and Kathy decided that was the final straw, and she left for good. She packed up a U-Haul on a Monday and got out of there. Despite fearing for her own safety, she never imagined that Jeffrey would physically harm Kayden, and so she established informal every other weekend custody, and he gave her money for child support. He was very loving towards Kayden, Kathy recalled, and that's probably the only good thing he had. She loved him too. She never talked bad about him. As Jeffrey's life seemed to be unraveling, Kathy moved on. She fell in love with Brian, who fell hard, not only for Kathy, but for Kayden as well. It was almost love at first sight. It was definitely the both of them, Brian Sherlock said. He was a strong father figure for Kayden. He loved to play catch with her in the backyard. Whatever it was, whether it was softball, basketball, soccer, or tennis, we didn't want to end on a missed shot or a swing and a miss. We wanted to end on a good one, to be positive going into the next day, Brian said. But Jeffrey's sister said her brother hated seeing his daughter so happy in a new family. His hate for Kayden moving forward and getting so excited about the new house and puppy in her new room, he started spiraling out of control, Allison said. assaulted her in front of Kayden. That was when Allison's his sister, I know there's a lot of names. Allison said that Kayden admitted for the first time that she was afraid of Jeffrey. I think the incident with my mom did scare her, Allison Mancuso said. We did ask Kayden after that incident, did you think that Daddy was going to hurt you? And she said yes. A little over a year into the custody battle, Kayden's mother, now desperate to keep her child safe, filed a restraining order against Jeffrey Mancuso, but she said that her complaints fell on deaf ears. I tried everything, Kathy Sherlock said, and the police were like, well, he's not hurting you. They were all about abuse and neglect. I couldn't prove it if he was abusing me, which, sure, I had records from months before, but no one is going to listen to you because they're going to say, why didn't you do anything then? Kathy says that her lawyer did not seek a long-term order for Kayden. She said she gathered witnesses, including the principal, a teacher, and Kayden's soccer coach, who witnessed a confrontation between Jeffrey and Brian at one of Kayden's soccer games after Jeffrey arrived with the little girl at the end of the game. Kayden was crying because she knew that she was late, Brian said, and so the coach put her in. She was in the game for 2 minutes, and the game's over. Season's over, and she starts crying hysterically and runs to Brian. Jeffrey, of course, gets right in my face and was like, you got a problem with me? Brian said it looked like Jeffrey had been in a bar fight recently. His whole face was banged up, that he had blood and scrapes all over his knuckles and hands. Kayden's coach, Chad Smith, witnessed the encounter and told ABC News in the interview that it looked like Jeffrey was trying to provoke Brian into a fight. Kathy said she brought all of this into the custody battle, including testimony from Kayden's principal and teacher who witnessed the confrontation at the soccer field. Everyone confirmed Jeffrey's disturbing behavior, which was described in the judge's order as being rude, belittling, abusive, and condescending. He never had any character witnesses testify on his behalf, Allison Mancuso said of her brother. Not one person in his family could go out in front of a judge and swear on the Bible and say, he's a great family. Family. He would never hurt his child. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but I find it really funny that she refers to it as his family when he's her brother. We'll get there. In the face of mounting evidence against Jeffrey and calls for intervention, Kathy said that Judge Jeffrey Trauger still wasn't taking her seriously. She said that the judge thought, according to Jeffrey's statements, that she was a crazy mom. He ordered a mental health evaluation, actually for both of them, and stated that he thought they both needed therapy. In the court-ordered psychiatric evaluation, Kathy seemed to have anxiety. Just anxiety. I'm not even going to talk about that one, but Jeffrey Mancuso was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, moderate with anxious disorder, and he was identified with narcissistic and antisocial personality traits. So he has all that, and she has anxiety. Well, it's no wonder she has anxiety. Have you paid attention to the situation you've put her in? I would have anxiety too. They also said Jeffrey had no remorse and took no responsibility for any of his actions, which, that's scary because it means you're capable of anything, Kathy Sherlock said. A custody evaluator recommended to the judge that Jeffrey's visitation should be unsupervised only if he received mental health treatment. But while the judge advised Jeffrey to get help, he awarded him unsupervised visits with no mandatory mental health treatment. During custody proceedings, the court was also told how he had been banned from his daughter's school because he had been so aggressive in his correspondence with the teachers. remarked on how he belittled the teachers and left threatening comments on an online forum. In his decision, Judge Trager said he had serious concerns about Jeffrey's ability to control his behavior, but that he allowed him visitation rights anyway. Why? Even though Kayden had told a custody evaluator she wanted to not spend as many days with Dad, the judge said she had no strong dislike of him, wasn't scared of him, and since she wasn't being physically abused by him at the time, that she should be allowed to carry on seeing him. Kayden presents as a happy child with a generally normal relationship with both parents, despite the volatile relationship they have with each other, he said in his ruling, citing the findings of the custody evaluator. Kayden had watched him not only fight with the family's dog, but hit her grandmother and punch himself in the face. Instead of keeping her from him, the judge ruled that the court nonetheless encourages the father to focus on spending quality time with the child, but warns the father that his way of handling third-party conflicts is very troubling. Kayden's family now says they always feared that he would hurt her, but prayed that it would never be so extreme. His sister said, "We knew this was going to happen one day. We just prayed that it wouldn't. The system failed us. My sister fought for her custody for years and they didn't listen to us. They let him take her and now she's gone," her Aunt Heather said. "There were times where I just said my biggest mistake was I should have just gone into contempt or jail or whatever they do to moms that don't let their kids go. But she was dragged out of my house by police once, so there was nothing I could really do," Kathy Sherlock said. "Jeffrey was standing in front of my house, shaking his court order, saying, 'It's my custody.' And the police came in and said, 'We have to follow the judge's orders.'" Can you imagine that? Like, them coming in and literally dragging her out of the house, even though she doesn't want to go, because there's an order from a judge. Like, I would be that mom in jail. There's absolutely no way. I can't even imagine what Kathy Sherlock feels right now. I can't. Anyway, on August 2nd, 2018, Kayden went to Ocean City, New Jersey with her father, sister, and mother. And while hanging out on the beach the next day, they received a text from Kayden's mother saying that if they wanted, they could take Kayden to Jeffrey's home Saturday for his court-allowed time with her. But Kayden said no, Daddy will be mad, Allison recalled. She believes that Kayden was fearful that her father might get angry if his mother or sister dropped her off, because he would have realized that Kayden had spent time with them. "He would call us traitors because we were seeing her behind his back," Allison said. So instead, they drove Kayden back to her Langhorne home on Friday. On August 4th, 2018, Kathy and Brian Sherlock dropped Kayden off at Jeffrey's house for the weekend. When Jeffrey and Kayden did not show up Sunday night, the Sherlocks called the police. He was supposed to return her to their home by 9 p.m. Sunday. "We called the police at 9:16, Kayden's mom Suicide Captain John Ryan said that a warrant wasn't an issue, that officers could have made a judgment call then and there if they deemed it was an emergency. But what no one knew is that Kayden's lifeless body lay inside, just a few feet from the front door. The next morning, Brian and Kayden's grandfather decided to go back over to Jeffrey's home where Kayden was staying, and they actually got in the house through the unlocked back door. This is where Brian discovered the worst. I got to where the steps were, and I turned left, and she was just lying there, said Kayden's stepdad. And I knew she was dead. I just knew she was dead. Kayden was found on the first floor in the living room with a bag on her head, tied very tightly around her neck. And there was a note pinned to her body. I'm getting a little emotional here, I'm sorry. Jeffrey Mancuso left a note on Kayden's body saying that the family got what they deserved, and now he has the final say. Brian called 911 and authorities arrived promptly to the scene. They showed up in 3 minutes. Everyone showed up, but it was too late, Brian Sherlock said. Jeffrey Mancuso was also found dead by apparent suicide on the second floor of the home. I found one article, that said that he hung himself, but I don't know if that's true. Family told the Philadelphia Inquirer that a medical examiner said Kayden died after being hit in the head 4 times with a 35-pound weight. Allison Mancuso tried for years to protect her brother, but she couldn't protect the niece that she adored. I hate him. I'll never forgive him, and I wish that he would rot in hell for what he did, she said. The action that he carried out, thinking about his hatred, and that he just couldn't overcome it. He just didn't have the ability to really love, and I just don't think that mentally ill people have the ability to love. His sister added, I'm not gonna get into that one. I do think that mentally ill people have the ability to love, but that was not my opinion. That was Jeffrey Mancuso's sister's opinion. Kayden's death rocked the Philadelphia community, with family and friends asking why the judge allowed Jeffrey unsupervised visits, despite his criminal past and mental instability. He should have put the visits supervised, his sister said, even if they were with another family member, until he could truly be evaluated, helped, put on medicine, committed, or whatever needed to be done. In a statement to Nightline, Judge Tracker's office said court records do not support the Sherlock's comments about the judicial proceedings or presiding judge, adding that he strongly encouraged both parents to seek mental help, not just for their own personal benefits, but for Kayden as well. Philadelphia Inquirer reporter Julie Shaw covered the story of Kayden's death for the paper and said that after her story ran, she got calls from other mothers in the region saying that they had also experienced something similar, where they say that judges give the father unsupervised visits because they're trying to be equal. An online petition calling for the removal of Judge Trauger quickly gained over 40,000 signatures. But as far as I could tell, they never removed him. Frank Zarvan, the executive director of the Support Center for Child Advocates, said family court is fraught with contentious claims and judges are confined by the law. It is not uncommon for parents with a violent criminal background to be awarded unsupervised visits as long as they do not show that behavior to a child, he said. When you think of the number of persons in this country who have criminal records, including violent behavior, we would have a lot more kids in foster care and a lot more kids not seeing their parents. Despite what the law says a judge can do, versus hers, Kathy Sherlock said. Essentially, his right to be a parent was more important than her right to essentially live. I miss talking to her, she continued. I miss holding her hand and kissing her in the morning and good night. I miss her little voice. I miss every single little thing about her. And I will never see her again. And I hate it. Her hope is that Kayden's death will be able to make an impact to help other children in the future. I don't have a choice, she said. I did not want to spend the rest of my life doing something like this. But who would? But that's the way it's gotta be. I think she meant doing something like grieving her own child. This case was very hard for me. Number one, I can't understand how people can be mean to kids. And I can't understand how you would murder your own child. And I think it was a case of, if I can't have her, then no one will. But I can't imagine beating your child with a 35-pound weight in the head and then suffocating her. I think that suicide was too good for him. I think that he should have gone to jail for a long, long time for what he did to Kayden. And I think that this case affects me so badly because we're gonna get a little personal here, but my brother is a drug addict, and he never loved my nieces like he should have. So I did. My mom and my sister and I tried to make up for the fact that he didn't. It's not that he didn't care, but if you've ever had any experience with someone who's addicted to something and has started with alcohol and then moved into other things, you know that they care about whatever it is before they care about anyone else, including their own children. Usually, not all the time. My brother is much like Jeffrey Mancuso, violent. He will turn your words against you. He will do whatever it takes to suit the situation in his favor. And the difference is, he didn't fight for his children. He is only angry because he has to pay child support. And that means he can't get whatever it is that he wants. Like Kayden, my brother has 2 beautiful daughters. They're beautiful girls, and they are going to be successful. One of them is the niece I mentioned that just got married. But I can never, and I've asked him why he never cared. You know what I mean? Like, how do you just abandon your own children? I've never done a drug in my life. I've taken Vicodin one time when I had kidney stones, so I don't understand the urge to get drunk all the time, or I'm a full, if you need those things, like if you need Vicodin because your back is broken or things like that, like I'm a supporter of that, but I don't understand. I worked in pain management a long time, so I saw many different types of people who were addicted to these things that did not need them, and then people that would come in with jacked up MRIs that told me their pain level was a 2. So I think it's all kind of relevant. I just don't understand people who he's still your dad, you know? You don't have to like him, but you still love him. And at 7 years old, your dad is still, I mean, granted, she saw him hurt her grandmother, but he's still your hero. At least he was in my world, and my parents were already divorced and moved apart. I can't imagine what her parents are feeling. This justice system really failed her family. I don't understand why they would give him unsupervised visits. And I'm not saying that all people that are diagnosed with all the things that he had are not capable of functioning in the world, because that's not the case. But they could have, just like the sister said, given him supervised visits with her there, or the grandmother, or whatever, until he could get help. There's nothing wrong with having something wrong mentally. People get treatment and have perfectly normal, functioning lives every single day. Sometimes there are just things wrong that you need help fixing, whether it's a medication to get something into your body that's not being produced correctly. That's exactly what's happening in my family right now. My mom's memory is so messed up because her thyroid levels are so low. So we're trying to even them out so that she can function in society. I don't understand, and it could be because I'm not mentally ill or diagnosed with all those things, what the purpose of killing her was. And I really do think it's if I can't have her, no one can. But he was granted joint custody. I don't understand. So, if you're still with me, I would love to know what you think of this case, if you'd heard of it, how you feel about them trying to pass Kayden's law. I will have to look and see if it passed, because I couldn't find any updates, because like I said, this case really, it happened in August, really did not happen that long ago. But if you are her family member, or you know her family, or you know someone who was affected by this case, please know that I meant no disrespect, and I am not trying to cause any issues or anything like that. I just feel like this story needed to be heard. I'm sure that there are so many women in this same situation that are trying to keep their children away from abusive, maybe not women, maybe I shouldn't have said it like that, parents who are trying to keep their children away from other abusive people in their lives, and trying to protect their children, because women can be abusive too, trying to protect their children in the only way that they know how. And we rely on the justice system to help us do that. There's a reason why you take something to court and you have to go by what the judge says. There's a reason why we have laws and police and judges and the court system, because if we didn't, the world would just be like the purge all the time. And while there are some times where I would like to go hurt people, obviously we cannot have a system like that and function as a society. So I hope that there was no crying, just me, not you, and that you enjoyed this case. I will see you very, very, very soon for another one. I'm gonna go see if it's snowing, because it looks like it's gotten quite a bit darker in the 40 minutes I've been talking. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me